Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made these super cute flower bags. They are so adorable and look so great in different colours. I did strawberry and blueberry, but I really would love to see how an orange bag comes out. The main body of the bag is made with the star stitch, which is a 2-row repeat, but it's really simple once you get into it, and I'll be doing my best to explain it in as simple terms as possible. The strawberry bag is one of my favourite ones I've ever made to date. I added a satin lining and a magnetic button, so it's so useful for everyday use. If you would like a video on how I sewed in the lining, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to make it happen. You can use any type of yarn you want for the bags, but to keep the dainty look and feel, I'd recommend sticking to around double knit weight. For the blueberry bag, I used acrylic double knit, and for the strawberry bag, I used milk cotton 4-ply. I think they both came out so beautifully, but the upside of the acrylic was that I was able to use a sparkly yarn too, just to give it that extra pizzazz. Now that's out the way, let's get right into the tutorial. We're going to start with the base of the bag, and to do that we need to make a slip knot. Start by wrapping the yarn around your 2 fingers like a cross, flip your fingers over and you should have 2 parallel lines of yarn. You want to put your yarn under the first line and scoop up the second one with your hook, and then pull the yarn off your fingers and tighten by pulling the shorter end of your yarn. We're now going to chain the length we want the base of our bag to be. For me this was 36 stitches, but if you want a smaller or bigger bag, you should change your chain count accordingly. So for a smaller bag, fewer chains, and a larger bag, more chains. Now that you have the number of chains you want, we're going to start making half double crochets to make the base of the bag. Now that we've reached the end of row 1, we're going to start row 2, and we're going to do that by chaining 2, and then turning our work. Now we're going to make half double crochets in every stitch until the end of the row. We're going to repeat this row until we have the size we want for the base of the bag. For me this was 5 rows. If you want a smaller bag, use fewer rows, and if you want a bigger bag, use more rows. Now that you've got the size you want for the base of the bag, we're going to make single crochets all the way around. You want to start by chaining 1, and turn, and then make single crochets in every stitch. In the corner of the base, we're going to place 2 single crochets instead of 1. When you get to the sides, make sure you count the number of single crochets you make so you can replicate that on the other side of the bag.
At the end of the round, you're going to slip stitch to the chain 1 stitch. And now the base of the bag is finished. We're now going to start working on the sides of the bag. You're going to start by chaining 1, and we're going to make single crochets but only in the back loop. So as you can see, we've got the V. We're going to crochet in the side of the V furthest away from us. At the end of the row, you'll see these 2 extra stitches. The first one is your slip stitch to the previous row, and the second one is your chain 1. So skip that stitch and make a slip stitch in the stitch you've marked with the stitch marker. Now we're going to start making the sides of the bag using the star stitch. This is a really simple 2-row repeat, and one of the rows is just single crochets. We're going to start by chaining 3. In the second stitch from our hook, we're going to pull up a loop, and then pull up a loop from the next stitch. And then in the stitch we made the slip stitch. Then in the next 2 stitches. Now we have 6 loops on our hook, and we're going to pull through all 6. Now we chain 1. Don't make this chain 1 too tight. And then we're going to pull up the loop a bit, go back into the chain 1 stitch, which is the I, and then into the side of the last loop we pulled up, and then into the stitch, and then into the next 2 stitches we'll pull up a loop. Now we have 6 loops on our hook, and we're going to pull through all 6. And then make a chain to create the I again. You're going to repeat this until you reach the end of the round. After your final star stitch cluster, you want to place a half double crochet in the stitch of the very last loop you pulled up. And now we're going to slip stitch to the third chain. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to make a single crochet on top of our half double crochet. This is a little tricky to get into. I would recommend adding a stitch marker in this first stitch so it's easier to find. And then in every stitch after this, we're going to place 2 single crochets in the eye of our star clusters. In the very last stitch of this row that is an eye, we're going to place 1 single crochet and then we're going to slip stitch to our chain 1. Repeat rounds 9 and 10 until you have the height you want for your bag. You want to make sure you're finishing on row 9, which is a single crochet row, and for me I crocheted until I reached row 23. Now we're just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch until the end of the row, and then we're going to fasten off. And now the main body of the bag is finished. So now we're going to make the front flap of the bag, and to do this we're going to wrap the yarn around our fingers like we did for the slip knot, go under the first line and pick up the second, and instead of tightening we're just going to chain 2. Now you want to take the thread from the magic ring and pull it as tight as you can. And then we're going to slip stitch to our chain 2. For round 2, we're going to chain 2 and then make 2 double crochets in every single stitch. You can hide the tail from the magic ring as you're making these double crochets if you want to. To finish off, we're going to slip stitch to our chain 2. For round 3, we're going to chain 2 and we're going to put 1 double crochet in our first stitch. And then we're going to put down a stitch marker, and in our next stitch we're going to place 2 double crochets. This is called a double crochet increase, and we're going to repeat this pattern of 1 double crochet and then 1 double crochet increase until the end of the row. And then we're going to slip stitch to our chain 2. Now we're going to chain 2. In our first stitch we're going to make 1 double crochet. And then mark it with a stitch marker. In our next stitch we're going to make a double crochet increase. And then we're going to make 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then a double crochet increase. You should have 2 double crochets between every double crochet increase. To finish the row, make a slip stitch to your marked stitch. Now we're going to make the scallops on the bag. To start, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to put 1 single crochet into the very first stitch. If you want, you can mark this stitch with a stitch marker just to make it easier to find later. Next, we are going to skip 2 stitches and we're going to put 7 treble crochets into the 3rd stitch. After the 7 treble crochets, we're going to skip 2 stitches and make a single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches and in the 3rd stitch place 7 treble crochets. And we're going to repeat this until we have 9 scallops in total, or the amount you want to cover the front of your bag. Test the number of scallops against your bag like this before deciding if you want to make more or less. Once you finish making your scallops, you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch until the end of the row and slip stitch to your chain 1. Fasten off your yarn and leave a long tail. We're going to be using this to stitch the flap onto the bag, so leave as much yarn as you possibly can. Next we're going to be working on the second row of scallops, and we'll be doing this by working in line with the first row. You want to insert your hook into the front loops that line up with the edge of the very first scallop. Pull your slip knot through and then chain 1. Then in the loop that lines up with the one for the previous scallop, we're going to place 6 treble crochets. We're going to look to see the single crochet of the previous row. We're going to find a loop that lines up with that and place a single crochet in that stitch. We're going to make row 11 like we made row 10 by making our single crochet and treble crochet clusters in line with those of the row before. To make the whipped cream, start by making a slip knot and then chain 3. In the first chain, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, and pull up a loop, and then pull through 2. Yarn over again, insert your hook into the same chain, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. Repeat this until you have 6 loops on your hook. Once you have 6 loops, pull through all the loops on your hook and then chain 3. Once again, yarn over and insert your hook into the first chain and pull up a loop, then pull through 2. And repeat this until you have 6 loops on your hook. Once you have 6 loops, pull through all the loops on your hook and chain 3 once again. Repeat this until you have the length you want for your whipped cream. We're going to use the same stitch we used for the main body of the bag for the strap of the bag. To make the strap, you need to chain the number you want for the length of your strap, and it needs to be an even number.